Well, it's one thing, you've got to finish the day. Like I always think of it like a circle. You start at the pier, and no matter where you are, you've got to complete the circle. So you either complete the circle as quickly as possible, or you're ultimately, at the end of the day, you end back at the pier. If you've pulled out, you still end back at the pier. You're either happy or you're sad. So you may as well. And I think when you're stressing out, or you're falling apart out there mentally and physically, and sometimes you let your mind drift, you need to bring yourself back to that simple fact that it's that moment right then that ultimately determines the outcome of the day for you. So you have to stay in that moment.
Have you got certain tools to stay focused during the race? I mean, that helps
I always try and stay in the moment. When you start to drift, you're in a bad way. But it's always focus on the moment, focus on the things you can control, and expect it. I think a lot of people I talk to pre-race are always, what do you think about when it's going to get painful out there? I'm like, well, let me tell you right now, it's going to get painful. You know what I mean? There's no matter how much training you do, no matter what you do, there's going to be a point where we all face it, that you're suffering. So, number one, the first thing to deal with it is be prepared for it. So when it comes, you don't freak out. Oh, mate, it's the end of the world. I'm not going to finish, because we all feel that way. And then you just deal with it. You have to focus on the things you can control. I always think breathing, rhythm, and nutrition. So it's, and if you focus on those things and go for a little checklist, you might feel bad. You might have a caffeinated shot, or focus on your rhythm.
But you do it all by feel.
All by feel, yeah. But you try and go for a checklist, because it's going to happen. Like nobody. If you don't, people are lying if they say there's no point in this race, it hurts. They're absolutely lying. Either that or they walk the whole way. And even that would hurt.
It's also
painful.
Even
exactly.
for those slow guys.
Yeah, even that would
hurt.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it's impossible to do this in any way and not be in some sort of discomfort. So, it's pretty cool.
The pleasure of pain, it's strange, huh?
Yeah.
It's about the limits. Is pain, is this the same as being at the limits, or is it where are the limits, or is it something else?
It's funny. It's no, because sometimes you're in no pain, but things aren't going well.
It's agony more than.
Yeah, no, but even sometimes it's not as if you're in absolute pain. You can't keep. Sometimes it's like your body's not responding. It's a feeling of lethargy. And it's not as if it's grossly uncomfortable, that you're like, I can't push anymore, I can't go on. It's like your body loses its rhythm, loses its feel for moments. And it's like, I just can't do this anymore. You start having these sort of thoughts. It's too fast, it's uncomfortable, I think it's your body's natural defense mechanism to say, hey, I'm not happy with what we're doing here. And I think you have to just bear with it, because then your body, a trained body, it's like it's a different being. And if you keep telling it for a while, look, we're going to keep doing this, it starts to cooperate. But it'll always throw up, obstacles in the way, and those obstacles are usually discomfort or these feelings of lethargy. And then as you start to run out of muscle glycogen and you're running out of stores of fuel, then the agony comes. Then the sheer body breakdown comes. And I think it's more, I don't know, I can only talk as a bigger guy, but knowing some of the athletes I know, and, Ronnie, these bigger guys, I think for the bigger guys, that, I'm making it sound tougher, I think that pain is a lot worse. The pounding, because these...
Why do you assume this that the others...
I don't know. You look at little blokes, they just don't seem to suffer as badly. They make it look a lot easier, I guess.
Maybe it's just big sore.
Yeah, big muscles, big sore. Probably that's... I don't know whether that's I don't know, but it just seems that, if you watch the way the little guy can run, their knee lift can be a lot higher. You watch Crowe or Raylert, a Brucht, a Greg Welsh back in the day, and you compare them to myself, a Ronnie, a Jürgen Zach, loath later, and look at our knee lift. We have to shuffle more. We can't lift and drive because the pounding, we fatigue and get sore a lot quicker. So we shuffle a lot more than the smaller guys. The smaller guys have a much more, I guess we have the advantage of longer stride. But
It's a biomechanics.
yeah, I think this racing is...
It's like a spring that...
Yeah, and you watch them. That's why these little guys can run in these funny shoes, these Newton shoes, and these... I see these big guys putting them on. I'm like, what are you thinking? Like, it's... I just don't think they suit a bigger athlete. Bigger athletes doing this sort of stuff can't get that big knee lift. You know, you look at them. I always study those videos. I'm amazed how Timo and Andreas and Crowe run with their knee lift. And you compare that to, and some of the bigger guys are still doing well. Like Ronnie's a 248 boy, and I've run fast here. We don't have that drive, that knee drive that they have. It's more of a lift drop where they're lift, glide, drop. And I think it's got something to do with number one, your height, whether it's your centre of gravity, and number two, your weight. You're trying to save that muscle soreness. Because I compare it to when I was doing World Cup days, I had much more knee drive, much more knee lift, a lot more. And it's interesting. I don't know whether you naturally gravitate towards that as you start doing the longer miles. Your body finds its natural point because it's a clever machine. But it's...
Do you feel the weight difference a lot when you're losing weight? Does it make a difference for you?
I don't. Yeah, I think you feel like you're running better, but I honestly believe there's a fine line in this Ironman stuff. Everyone's so weight paranoid because they're coming out of the short course stuff, and I think this is a lot of the inexperience of the little younger guys and a lot of the inexperience of the ITU guys coming across, and they'll learn their lesson like I did. I came in here too skinny the first couple of years, and you can't compare yourself with a Craig Alexander who is a naturally skinny guy.
Yeah, it's very different.
You go, well, Craig's 64 kilos, then I need to be 64 kilos. It's not that. It's you need a bit of. I think you need a bit of power. I look at someone going into this race honestly. I look at a Ronnie with more fear than a Brucht or a.
Yeah.
I just think Ronnie's a strong guy. Okay, he has this swim that makes his day a lot harder here because he's not with the front boys, and he's going to spend a lot more of it on his own. But the strength that he has for the back end of this race, from hour 7 to hour 8, when it matters, when the race is won, that's a huge plus. Huge plus. And if he can have the mind strength, which he has had in years past, to go, you know what, racing my race here. I'm not going to try and make up my swim deficit in the first 50 miles. I'll just play it out, finish at the pier. Far out, he could go all the way. He's the type of guy that, where the guys who are in the mix all the time and are proactive, trying to make moves and going with the moves, and can often blow their game, blow their race.